I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the School District of Waukesha. It's the full Board of Education meeting tonight. It is October 10th, 2018. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll get our meeting started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So will you please take the roll call?
William Baumgart.
Here.
Barbara Brezink. Greg Dietz.
Here.
Amanda Roddy.
Here.
Diane Voigt.
Here.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Here.
Kurt O'Brien.
Here.
Karen Reinacek.
Here.
Joseph Como.
Here.
Hello, Karen.
And Sue, will you also please verify that the meeting has been properly posted?
Yes, it has.
Thank you. We'll begin with our inspirational moment. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love. It's by Lao Tzu. Moving on to our bright lights, we're going to have our guests from Butler Middle School talk about the Quest program. I'm not sure who's going to be stepping forward to begin the process. Welcome, everybody.
Wow. Love it.
We are Quest, and we brought some kids along to talk about what they have to say about the program. Hi, I'm Karen Anderson, and I will be talking about Quest habits and mentoring. So Quest stands for questioning, understanding, exploring, self-advocacy, teamwork, and the silent P, which means persevering. In mentor groups, we need to check in with our teacher. They will check our binder and make sure we are neat and organized. Currently, we are about to start a read-a-lot about traveling, evacuation, escape, and relocation. We've been working hard at this, and we've been getting prepared for it. The book we'll be reading is called Refugee. When we confer, we check with our mentor teacher. They will make sure we are on track and understanding what we are learning. In the picture, we have Miss Kennel working with some students. We also have some goal settings, where we set goals and make sure we achieve them. Our mentor teacher will do with this. We also do SMART goals during Step Up. For our binder, we have a certain stuff required. Some of them are our dividers, which we need 10 of.
I'm Ashley Davies, and I'll be talking about our learner profile and portfolio. So in Quest, we create learner profiles, and each year at the beginning of the school year, we take different tests, and each test helps you understand more about yourself and how you learn. So we take the Myers-Briggs, learning style, and multiple intelligences tests. And so the more you learn about yourself, the better you'll be able to learn. And so, for example, my favorite one to take is the Myers-Briggs one, because it says a lot about who I am, which is something I really like to know about. And so, like, when I'm working on a project, I know that I would work better on my own or with a partner, not necessarily in a big group setting. And then for the learning style one, I know that I do not learn auditory. I am 10% when it comes to learning auditory. So if I want to learn well, I need to have somebody show it to me, or have me go through it with them. Because if I listen to it, then I won't learn it and it won't stick. And then for my multiple intelligences, it's also important to me that I set personal goals and that I meet them and that I write stuff out, like I journal and I do self-reflection on stuff, because it'll help me with my learning and going on with what I need to work on and finishing what I've started. And then for our portfolio, which I like because it keeps all of your work in like one place online, so that if you lose like the paper copy for your math test, then you have the grade and the picture of it in your portfolio where you can get it. It also helps you set goals on it, and you put down stuff that you're good at and that you've worked with, that you think that you're really good at. And then you can also put on stuff that you need to improve on, so you know when something comes that this is something you should work better at.
I'm Rachel, and this is Math Pathways. This is part of the way we do things in Quest, and this allows students to work at their own pace in math and allow them to keep going with their needs. So if someone is smarter, they don't have to sit back in class and not pay attention. And these are some examples of our sticker charts where we log what we got on our tests, and we put stickers on underneath each learning target to tell where we go, and it also gives students a sense of achievement to get a good grade on a test and be able to put the sticker up when they're done to show that they've finished. And part of the good thing about Math Pathways is that if a student can work ahead, if they're really getting a topic, they can work ahead to finish the unit faster and achieve more. Or if someone is not getting a topic, like they just don't understand it, they can take a little bit more time on it and maybe work ahead on a different unit so that they can get back and caught up. Next is Expedition. This also goes along with personalized learning because it is learning that's not necessarily reading, writing, and math. It's more like find something you're very interested in and go to the community to find some community connection. And this will give students like self-advocacy and help them to learn more about things that they're interested in. And my favorite expedition was Shark Tank, because Shark Tank was like the show. You could come up with your own business idea and actually carry it out and present it in front of a bunch of people. And I made a business about dog ties, and I put it got in the newspaper, so that gave me a little bit more confidence, yes. It got me a little more confidence, so it helped me to think that I can do it and people do care and I can get myself out there. And another one is PLP, which stands for Personalized Learning Project, where students, that's what I just explained, where they can pick anything they want to learn about and learn about it. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jenna Lawrence, and I will be talking about community connections. So when we do community connections, it's obviously reaching out to our community and getting involved in our community. So some ways that we do that are through fundraisers. So fundraisers are totally optional for students to do. Last year, it was fairly new. We hadn't really done them a lot until last year. So I started the first one, and we did a Haws fundraiser, and it was a coin war between mentor groups, which you'll learn more about later. And so we raised a lot of money, and I was able to learn how to reach out and send proper emails to Haws and to the coordinator for that. And then we've also done other ones in the past. And then the fundraiser that we did for Haws was also featured in the newspaper. So reaching out and talking to them about the fundraiser that we did was a really good way for us to learn about our community connections. Another way that we do that is through PLP, which Rachel talked about before, is a personalized learning project. And through that, we're required to reach out to someone who is an expert on the topic that we picked. And we either learn more about that topic through emailing, or a really fun thing that we get to do is we get to do mini field trips. So we can, if they are willing, we can go there and we can spend the day with them studying our topic, and we can bring some friends if that's okay with the teachers. And it's a great way for us to reach out to the community and help out with them and learn more about our topic. And then we also do a park cleanup. So at Hora Park, we adopted that park. And so every once in a while, sometimes we'll walk, sometimes we'll take a bus, or after a field trip, we'll go there. And we help clean up the park. It helps take care of our community, and we're also helping out our community and learning what service means. And it's also very fun for all of Quest to get to know each other better, and we have partners when we clean up, and it's just a really fun and cool kind of little mini field trip that we get to do. And one of our last community connections is Facebook and Twitter. So Quest has a Facebook and Twitter where we post pictures about what we're doing and updates about what we're doing. So families are able to comment and like about what we're doing and see what we're doing, because sometimes students don't always tell parents what we're doing at school. So it's a good way for them to know what we're doing and just some really cool pictures of what we're doing in Quest.
Hello, my name is Jackson Motley. I'm an 8th grader at Quest, and I will be talking to you about field trips, and after field trips, I will be talking about the Quest government, economics, and jobs that we have. So to start off with field trips, every year we go to Camp Whitcomb Mason, and it's kind of, I guess, a way for out-of-school icebreakers to happen, so we get to know others, newer and older people in Quest better than we would in a school environment. So that's pretty fun. We do a lot of events. And then we went to American Players Theater in Spring Green just a couple of weeks ago for the Shakespeare expedition. So we studied Shakespeare for a while, and we saw As You Like It, so we studied that play. Shakespeare talking, kind of deciphering what everything means. And then we went to go see As You Like It, and it was really a fun trip. So PLP, as Jenna said before, we do some field trips by choice just to kind of get to know your topic more in a real-world environment. The planetarium is a field trip that we take once a year, and it is more closely related to our astronomy unit. And the Fox River, we usually study like water samples and weather and effects of the weather to the environment before we go to the Fox River. And one that I was not able to go to was the Admirals game. That was last year. We went to an Admirals game after school or on the weekend, and we had this raffle that we could enter to get to ride on the Zamboni, which I thought was pretty cool. And then the government and economy, as well as jobs. So one, I think, interesting thing about Quest is that we have we're like our own mini, I guess, country. So we have a government and jobs, and we have elections for, president and vice president, and we have court. So if you do, if you infract the Quest Constitution, if you infract the Quest Constitution with an infraction, you are given a court ticket, and we have judges that are part of the government that decide, depending on how severe your infractment is, what your punishment is. Okay, I'm sorry. So sometimes it'll be community service. Other times you have to pay in pesos. Now, pesos, that is our currency in Quest. So we have jobs such as zookeepers who take care of our turtle and our tortoise. And we have Quest storekeepers. And those are just two of the jobs. And Quest storekeepers, they run the store, which you buy things from the store with pesos. So it all comes full circle. And then the honeycomb that we had a picture of before, That was done by some artists that we had last year, 8th grade artists. And I am done.
All that.
Okay, so those are all of our students, and if you guys have any questions, we're open to any of them, either for the students or us teachers that came along.
Mr. Baumgart.
Wonderful comments. Yeah, yeah. Wonderful comments. I just want to compliment you on, Rachel, you talked about confidence, and I think it was Rachel, right? I got that one right. I saw confidence throughout. I know you stumbled a little bit and all that, but this is a very different experience for most of you kids to sit down with the board of directors and talk to us about things. And I would compliment all of you on some of the things that I heard throughout, the confidence being one. And Ashley, you had something in there that I think is also very pertinent to everybody in terms of analyzing yourself and understanding yourself is so important. I spent a number of years working with adults in their job search, and a number of them had no idea what you are talking about. How do I think? How do I learn? How do I communicate? What am I like? Am I an extrovert or an introvert, and things like that? To know that gives you a significant advantage when you're working with other people. I don't mean that you're putting them at a disadvantage, but you are getting an advantage out of understanding yourself. And I know this applies to all of you, just you're the one who brought it up. So I compliment all of you on learning those things, because those are life skills you're going to need, including some of the community things you talked about and leadership, as you talked about. So those are all very important life skills. I'm so glad to hear you talk about them. Thank you.
Mrs. Brezink?
Yes. What a wonderful experience that you have had in your school. And I hope that you take this experience and keep it with you all your years that you have left in school, but most of all, after you leave school, that you maintain your interest, especially in what you say about the community. We need people to be interested in the community. All the people that are sitting here are very, very community-minded and interested in the community. We hope that you, too, join us in the future in being interested in supporting and making our community better. So thank you for your interest. Thank you very much for all you do. What a wonderful experience you're having. Unique.
Mr. O'Brien?
Well, you did a wonderful job. I've never seen Mr. Baumgart get so excited that he spoke that long about a subject before in my life.
Right.
He usually tries to be very brief in his comments, but he just couldn't stop talking about how wonderful you were. The currency, Queso, is that a new term that you guys came up with this year, or has it been an ongoing term? Does it cause confusion?
Since the beginning of class, so 5 years.
Because
It's a history lesson.
when I think of that term, I think of cheese. There's a cheese penalty or cheese delivery, and
Jeez.
there must be a
There's
vault.
like T in it.
Huh?
Queso with the T.
Yeah,
instead
it's a
of
little bit.
queso.
It's a little bit different, but. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, thank you. It was a wonderful presentation.
Mr. Dietz?
First of all, thank you for giving me a better understanding of the Quest program. Also, from what I saw tonight, that program offers you a lot of flexibility, but with that flexibility comes a lot of responsibility. And from what I've seen through your presentation, that you have followed through and done a great job on that. And it's also very obvious, just the expression on your faces, that you're very happy and proud of the work that you're doing. So nice job, and also hats off to your teacher for bringing you here and coordinating everything, and again, for giving me a better understanding of Quest. Thank you.
Amanda?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to echo everyone else and say thank you so much for the information. I love all the extra details on it. I'm really excited that you're part of this program. The question I do want to ask, and this could be to any of you, you were talking about the organization and having the tabs and keeping your schoolwork together. Do you find yourself using those skills in other parts of your life, at home or in other things that you do?
Yeah, so this really helps with at home because we bring our binders home every day when we have homework, and we have a little tab we have a tab in the front for just our homework, so we can bring our binder home and do our homework, and it keeps all of us organized.
We also have a planner, which they tell us to write down all the homework that we get from each class, which is also in our binder. They tell us to write it down. Everybody does. You're supposed to. And if you do, then you can like check off when you've got your homework done and you take it home because it's in your binder, so you should always have it with you.
Okay.
And so then you get that with, and you know what you have to do and when you get it done by.
Well, keep up the good work with it all. Teachers, thank you. My child will be there next year, so please still be here.
We plan on it.
Mrs. Reincheck?
Thank you. What is your name on the end?
Jenna.
Jenna. You talked about, let's see, where was it? Community connections, and you learned how to write the proper email. And, you know, we have a lot of adults that don't know how to do that. Have you received any emails that you're thinking, oh, they don't know how to do this, or this is not the proper way now?
Some of them were a little, I don't know, sometimes I felt like I was being a little too proper, but other ones I was like, yeah, I'm right at the level of where I should be of emailing, I guess.
Good. And then the overall feel I sense from all of you is just engagement and enthusiasm. And I can't imagine you guys wanting to just stay home and just not go to school on a day. I mean, there's always something to do, something to learn, and it just seems like this just makes you want to get up in the morning and go to school. So I see lots of nods, so that is wonderful, and just keep up the great work. Oh, and one more thing.
Parents are grinning. back
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I got that. If you guys are holding any of those governmental offices, just say what you are.
Congress.
You are. And what position?
It's
What?
like the mix, so it's like Congress, so it's a mix between the House of Representatives and the Senate, because we have mentor groups, so you get like 2 to 3 people from each mentor group, 1 person from each grade most of the time, and then you meet and you have your vice president run it, and you go through stuff that's going on in class that you should fix, and then you vote if you need to add a law or change something. It normally takes about an hour to get through some stuff, but it's just like you're having a meeting with a bunch of people and you're talking about stuff that you should change or improve, and then
I was the Congress reporter, so like everything we did, I would write down, so anybody outside who wasn't in Congress knew what we were doing.
Excellent. Anybody else? Well, thank you all for being here and for doing such a great job every day at school.
And Mrs. Brusink?
Yes, I just have one question. You mentioned the word homework, and I was doing some reading today in preparation for the meeting about homework. And it's always something that I'm very, very interested in. And I'm wondering, on an average, how much homework would you say you have every day?
So in Quest, we have a Quest time for
Yes.
7th and 6th graders, but 8th graders aren't able to get that. But Quest time is basically like a study hall where you have a time, and since Quest is an independent learning program, it's based on you to kind of get your work done. So I guess it all kind of depends on what you get done in class and what you don't. So I guess our homework is based on us and what we can get done during class.
How long is that period? About an hour or 40 minutes?
Yeah, it's a regular hour.
Very good. So you get a head start. And if you use it properly, you can maybe cut your work. Great. Glad to hear that. Thank you.
Oh, anybody else? All right, just couple comments. I'll be briefer than Mr. Baumgart, which is
Get even
rare.
with you guys later.
I was really impressed with how supportive you are of one another. I mean, I could really tell that you guys really care for one another and that you're supportive of one another. When someone was a little stumped at, what you wanted to say next, you turned to your team and they helped you out. I mean, great job, you guys. Really good job. You did a fantastic job. You represented your school very well, and your parents should be proud of you. Your parents should be proud of you. Thank you. You didn't time my comment, did you, Mr. O'Brien? No, I wasn't. Next, we're going to hear from our student representatives from Waukesha South High School. Delaney and Tanner, please step forward and introduce yourselves, please. Let us know what's happening at South.
All right. Hello, I am Delaney. I am in Public Relations for Student Council. I'm in tennis, and I'm also in the Black Shirt newspaper.
My name is Tanner. I'm also in Public Relations for Student Council as well. I'm in Drama, the Black Shirt Briefing, and I'm also in a group called Peers for Peers.
We're both seniors at Waukesha South, and thank you for letting us share our highlights from the first quarter.
So to kick it off, we're going to talk about sports. Boys volleyball, they've had a good season so far, and they did great adapting to their new coach, new staff, and they've had a great following this year. We've had many kids excited to come to the games and cheer them on.
For girls tennis, we are on our 5th year straight that Waukesha South has won over 10 matches in our dual season. We won the Ace Division in Green Bay when our trip went up there. We got 3rd place in one of the toughest sub-sectionals in the state while sending 2 students to sectionals, Maggie Scanlon and myself. We have 3 kids who are also all-conference for 1 and 2 singles and 1 doubles. For girls golf, we also were able to send Josie Mintz to sectionals.
Boys soccer, as you guys know, it's a tough conference, but they've won 4 games so far, and they've tied 3 times, and they have a great attitude. They never give up, and they're known for being a family, and they're very, very diverse.
And for girls swim, so far we are undefeated in all of our dual meets, and we are ranked 3rd.
All right, homecoming. We had a very successful pep rally. The seniors won. I personally did amazing in musical chairs.
That's confidence.
And after our football game, we had the ice cream social, which was a huge hit. And then for our actual dance, we had over 900 attend the haunted homecoming.
So far, for Student Council, we have a blood drive coming up soon. It's open to the public. It's on November 29th, and it's from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we also do our annual Whittier Kindergarten gift giving in December, where all of us on Student Council, we get one kid who we're going to give a gift to at the end of end of December. And we also do story time while we go down there. We also have AVID at our school, and we are the first school to implement AVID in the district, and our first AVID class was actually in 2009. We have 1 senior class, 1 junior class, we have 2 sophomore classes, and 1 freshman class. And so far for all of our senior classes, 7 out of 29 have already been accepted to college, which is very impressive, I'd say. And we also had last year Grayson Cooley. He was our 2018 South graduate, and he was actually selected to speak at the National AVID Conference. And new this year, some old AVID students, we've actually gotten a lot of emails back saying how they learned to ask for help in college. They've learned note-taking skills, organization skills, and they've actually learned how to cope with all the stress so far.
Black Shirt Briefing, that is our weekly newscast. It's been a great way to be more enthusiastic about the news and upcoming events at South, and it's had a great impact on the students since they really look forward to watching it every week.
There's also the student newspaper along with the briefing. It is available to give our students a voice and the ability to shine light on some subjects we might not actually be able to talk about, or some subjects we want to talk about. For some students, it's like an insight on journalism, and it ranges from like interviews to editorials to basically whatever we want to talk about.
Drama. Our fall drama is the Laramie Project with showings November 9th and 10th. Our winter musical, it's Hopefully Grease. Our spring comedy is the female version of The Odd Couples, and we also have a 1-act competition, and we've gone to state twice these last 2 years, and we hope that we can make that a 3rd.
We also had March Fest happen the end of September. It's the largest marching band competition in the state of Wisconsin outside of state itself. It's the first performance of the year where our band can actually get scored, but it's also one of our largest fundraisers for our band. The weather was really good, so that's a plus, and there was a really good turnout for everybody. And so far, our marching band is going to state, which is very exciting.
Peers for Peers. This is a new program we have here at South. I'm in it. We attended training programs on relevant issues to the youth and to learn community resources. We also served as a helping resource to others in our school and impact their lives. And through that, we've developed leadership and planning skills. And we're also a great model for an alcoholic, tobacco, and drug-free lifestyle.
Thank you for allowing South to come share some of our good news with you.
Yes, do we have any questions for South? Yes, Ms. Zink?
But just a comment. I'm so excited about your enthusiasm because I join you in being so proud of all the wonderful things that happen at South. It's a great school, and it's students like yourself that make it great. So keep your enthusiasm, and hopefully everybody will be affected by it and join in and be as enthusiastic as you are. It's a great school, wonderful opportunities. And,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just real quick, Black Shirt Briefing. Is this the first year for that? Or have you
We
guys done that
started
before?
it last year.
Okay.
I am a lead anchor, and it's a better way of saying our news instead of being over a loudspeaker. They
Sure.
get to see it, they get to see us performing. We do little skits and stuff like that. Just a lighter way of
Yeah. How often do you publish?
every Monday at homeroom.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds pretty cool, actually. And for March Fest, how many bands participated? Do you have that count or?
16.
Wow.
I believe it was 16 this year.
Wow. When my kids were going through school, it was about 8. So it's doubled. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your reports. We'll see you again in 3 months, I guess, is the rotation. So maybe 4. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're at the section of our meeting where we give our citizens an opportunity to address the Board of Education, and we limit each speaker to 3 minutes. At about the 2.5-minute mark, Mr. O'Brien will give you a signal, and if you could wrap up in the final 30 seconds, we'd appreciate it. We expect all speakers to honor our time limit, to refrain from using any inappropriate language in any manner, and be respectful in their comments. Speakers who do not meet these expectations may be prohibited from speaking at future Board of Education meetings. We also expect that the audience will be respectful of the speaker and of the Board of Education, refrain from making any verbal comments, cheering, applause, or behavior that may detract from the meeting. And also, if you could silence your phones at this time to show our respect, we would appreciate that too. We do have 2 people who signed up. Tom, do you want to step forward? And Kelly, you'll be after Tom.
Good evening. My name is Tom Piasek. My wife Kelly talked to the F&F committee on Monday about issues with the junior basketball programs getting access to the school facilities. Since then, we've looked at how some of the other schools in the district, some other districts in the area handle their facilities. Elmbrook, McGuanago, Oconomowoc, and Muskego were some of the districts that spell out a detailed facility access policy on their websites. All of these districts have tier-based priority and pricing of their facilities, with priority given to their district-based youth programs at no charge. Non-district associated for-profit entities are not given priority and are charged rental fees at fair market values. To any logical person, this makes complete sense, and is probably why they're all implemented so similarly. In the Waukesha School District, however, this is not the case. Scheduling priority is being given to a for-profit organization not associated with the district, and they are being given the facilities rent-free. The district-associated junior programs are given second dibs, and this year are starting to be charged fees for the use of them. This really is completely indefensible. This is occurring in part because of a memorandum of understanding that was signed in 2014 with SC Waukesha, giving them rent-free priority access to indoor facilities and grass fields. The MOU was signed 1 month after the contract that guaranteed SC turf stadium access at the absurdly low rate of $29 per hour. I am here asking for 3 things from the board. Terminate the MOU, which grants rent-free access to indoor facilities and scheduling priority to a for-profit organization that has large numbers of non-district kids practicing an off-season sport. Yes, I do realize SC was a nonprofit until recently, but there's a big difference between a nonprofit with $500,000 in salaries and completely volunteer-based organizations like the junior basketball programs. Most districts point that out in their fee schedules. Number 2, implement a clear facility access policy similar to other districts in the area and perform strong oversight of its execution. Even without an MOU, I don't think the district can be trusted to not give a wink and a nod to SC Waukesha and continue to give them similar access. SC is already being given access to facilities beyond the scope of the MOU. The board will need to closely monitor facility allocation going forward. Number 3, investigate how the MOU came about. The MOU was done behind the backs of the school board and taxpayers, and the person or persons responsible need to be held accountable. The superintendent and his staff report to the school board, not the other way around. Please provide them the oversight that they sorely need. Thank you.
And Kelly?
Good evening. I'm Dr. Kelly Piasek. I'm also a proud parent of a Butler Quest student and a volunteer with the Junior Boys North basketball program. I work with other district program leaders to schedule gym time and competitive events for the youth basketball programs. I would like to address some of the financial consequences that our district junior athletics programs are facing as a result of the athletic facility access issues my husband just spoke about. Our 6 boys and girls, all volunteer-led organizations, total 600 3rd through 8th grade district students. Because gyms are unavailable, we are forced to pay significant fees to rent gyms outside of the district, approaching $25,000 a year across our youth basketball programs. SC Waukesha is also occupying the highest quality school gyms on weekday evenings, forcing middle school boys to practice on Meadowbrook's tile floor gym. If you look at the Butler Gym schedule for November through March of this school year, and I've brought a copy of all these documents that I'm referencing that I will be happy to leave with the board, you will see 13 hours of gym time per week provided to SC Waukesha and only 2 hours provided to the Junior North Stars boys. In addition, SC Waukesha won't be charged for their 7 weekend hours on Saturday and Sunday. But absurdly, we have been given a $700 invoice for requests for the exact same gym time. Why? Because this year, a new fee schedule was sent to junior programs that require $100 per day building access fees and $50 to $65 per hour custodial rates on weekends. I checked the state website for salaries, and the highest paid custodian in the state is $32,000 a year. Yesterday, I received email confirmation of our weekend tournament dates, citing over $7,000 in access and custodial fees this season for just Waukesha North and Butler alone. We are days away from starting the season and still facing thousands of dollars in new charges and insufficient gym access. In many cases, the district is double and triple dipping when custodians are already on duty or when other non-district programs like Horizon Church are renting the facilities at fair market value. Even if the fees to the junior programs were reduced or eliminated, this memorandum of understanding and cozy arrangement with SC Waukesha needs to be rescinded. Thank you.
Those are the only people who have signed up ahead of time. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board at this time? Okay, thank you. Moving on to our minute approval, there are 2 sets of minutes for our consideration. On September 12th, we had our regular Board of Education meeting, and also we had a public hearing on September 12th also for our budget. Do I have a motion for approval of our minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. McCaffrey, second by Mrs. Brezink. Is there any discussion, modifications? Yes, Mrs. Voigt.
I think there's a typo under the consent agenda where it talks about 54 resignations. I believe it was in the form.
Any other corrections, discussion? You got that noted, Sue? Okay. Mr. O'Brien?
I wasn't here. I was surprised we had 54 resignations.
Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Diane Voigt. Aye. Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 9-0, Sue.
I should change my vote to abstain. I wasn't here, so.
Okay,
Yeah, please.
8-0-1, an abstention by Mr. O'Brien. Okay, thank you. Moving on to our communications part of our meeting. Dr. Gray, did we receive any?
No communications this evening.
Okay. And this evening, Diane Voigt has some special guests to announce.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my honor to introduce Lynette Kalmich, the Executive Director of the Waukesha Education Foundation, Inc., and Melissa Baxter, a WEF board member, Chair of our Finance and Allocations Committee, and the leader of our WEF Grants Initiatives. They have a special presentation tonight to begin my WEF report.
Thank you. WEF is thrilled to present a check to the School District of Waukesha for $30,434.99 to fund the 29 grants that were requested last year by educators. This money has already been allocated, and it's being actively used right now by these educators to fund the projects and the programs in their classrooms. You all have a list of the grants at your seats, so you can see the types of things that were funded. It's important to note that the Education Foundation received a record number of grants last year. We received 67 grant requests. And again, we funded 29 of them. And those grants totaled $109,000. Our mission is continuing to be to move our foundation forward and grow our endowment so that we may continue to support even more eligible grants and requests for years to come. This particular grant allocation check brings a total to over $260,000 in grants that WEF has provided to educators since 2002. So we would like to present a check to the board.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Here, let's get in here with a... Technical difficulties.
Technology is so nice.
Thank you so much on behalf of our school district, all the hard work that you and everybody else at the Waukesha Education Foundation do each and every day of the year. You guys work very hard in what you do. This $30,434 is very appreciated by the teachers and students. We look forward to seeing what they've done in an upcoming event pretty soon, at least the children from last year. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. President.
Yes,
You know,
Mrs. Brzezinski.
I sat on that board at one time, and I was just so extremely impressed with the people from the community that participate and the hard work that they do to bring in lots of money. And now Diane is representative, and I'm sure that she shares in my feelings about the hard work and the outstanding participation from people of our community. So I thank them, and I'm so proud and
I've asked
appreciate
Lynette
what
to
they
continue
do.
to share some of the kinds of things that we have
Please.
to be proud of.
Yes.
So Diane has been wonderful, so we really appreciate having her as our liaison on the board. She obviously has a great history with our organization, so it's helpful to have someone that understands both pieces of the puzzle. And she's given me the floor this evening to share her report that she normally gives. So some other updates. We wanted to say thank you to the many staff members who are participating in our Thursday Go Casual for a Cause, where teachers can wear jeans and be more casual during their school day for a $5 donation. We've had 2 Thursdays so far, and we've already collected $6,020, which is wonderful. We really appreciate the financial support of our staff, and last year, Go Casual for a Cause raised an amazing $16,000, and every single dollar from Go Casual for a Cause goes right back into the grants. So we take that full amount and we put it right back into that grant allocation for that year. This program runs during the first semester of each year, and I'd like to say a special thank you to Sue Ettinger for all of her organizing and working and hilarious emails that she sends out, getting people motivated to participate in this, and also work with all the building secretaries who have to collect that money and then track it down and get it back to us. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. We'd like to say congratulations to our community award winners. We are going to be honoring them at the 2008 WEF Partners in Education reception that's coming up on November 1st. Our WEF Corporate Partner in Education Award is going to Aries Industries. Our Community Partner in Education Award is going to the Friends of Retzer Nature Center. And our Sally Jo Machelko Lifetime Excellence in Education Award is going to Amy Lang. So we'd like to congratulate all of them. As I mentioned, we have our Partners in Education reception coming up on November 1st. Everyone on the board should have already received both an email and a paper invitation from us. They were in your Friday packets. Thank you, Sue, for making that happen. This is an evening of networking, gratitude, and also our awards. We like to just say thank you to those of you that have already replied, and please let us know if you would like to come if you haven't replied yet. And please know that you're welcome to bring a WEF potential donor or sponsor along with you, or maybe your spouse, but you can bring both. We will also be participating with the district in the annual enrollment fair on the 1st of December. All of our 2017 grant winners are going to be coming to display their grants and talk about the successes those grants have had, and they will actually be stationed right alongside their home school this year, which we thought would be a nice tie-in so parents can understand what type of activities are going on in each building. We will also be hosting an activity area there for kids where they're going to be doing a make and take art project that they can have for the holidays as a gift for their parents or whatnot. And we do have some of our corporate sponsors coming to that to help volunteers, so we're lucky to have that tie-in as well. We are welcoming 2 new business sponsors this month. GE Healthcare was here in the building today, and they became our first platinum sponsor and have donated $5,000 to the foundation. A press release did go out this evening along with a picture, so watch for that hopefully in the Freeman soon. And then Whipfly is our 12th silver sponsor, and they've donated $1,000 to the foundation, and we're really excited to have them on board as well. If you're not familiar with them, they are an accounting company. WEF also received an in-kind donation of $1,000 from the Kiwanis Club. And so we'd like to just give a huge thank you to GE Healthcare, Whipfly, and the Kiwanis Club, and all of our annual sponsors that we have that help us keep our foundation running so we can continue to do the work that we do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynette.
So thank you, Lynette and Melissa, and Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Diane. This is great. This is wonderful. There's a lot of hard work that goes into this. These people work very, very hard for education, and it's very much appreciated. Moving on to our charter school and program report given by Mr. Baumgart.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Got several reports tonight. First one deals with eAchieve. eAchieve is making their #1 school improvement focus this year to be improving literacy skills by increasing the amount of reading instruction taking place in classes. The teachers are worked hard over the summer to embed more modeling of reading skills into their courses. Many of the teachers from eAchieve also participated in the AVID workshops that were conducted this summer to gain skills in teaching of reading. A related secondary focus the eAchieve staff has adopted is to improve reading culture at eAchieve. And Rich said here, can virtual school even have a culture? And he says it certainly can if you take steps to make it happen. So they're working on reading in total, some elements that they're using, things like book clubs, book clubs, slogans and email signatures, a new tier, this is a mouthful, this one, a new Tier 2 word of the day posted in the Blackboard Daily. And they've been amazed at how many students they hear talking actively and trying to use the word of the day in their work. So eAchieve working on reading. Another item, the dual language two-way program. 9 years ago, we initiated our two-way dual language program at Banting School. I went over there in September of that year and watched the kindergarten kids and was impressed with it. Well, those students are now freshmen in our high schools, mostly in South and North. So last week I went over and visited one of those. They didn't remember me. Wasn't I shocked by that? I visited one of the classes at South. Though it was a bit difficult to get them to open up in our conversation, I did get some responses to questions, and all the responses I got were very positive about how their use of the two languages now, the English and the Spanish, is going to be helping them in the future. Third item, a couple weeks ago at Bethesda, they had an opening of some new playground equipment that they won in a competition involving recycling materials often considered to be not recyclable. Things like toothbrushes, toothpaste tubes, I lost the word, flossing cases, dental flossing cases, and so on. The program sponsors include Meyer, Colgate, and TerraCycle. In your Friday packet, you're going to get a copy of the formal news release, just so you can a little bit more about it. It was phenomenal with their visit that afternoon with the kids on the playground, of the ribbon cutting of the new equipment and so on. They were the first place winner in Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, and Wisconsin. So they competed hard to get the number one position. A year ago, they came in second place, and I guess they were a little bit downhearted, and they said, we're going to go out and win it. And they did win it this year. And it's a big chunk of change that put that piece of playground together. So first out of 124 schools that participated. A lot more information is in that document, which is attached. This will all be in your packet on Friday, so you can see the details both on eAchieve and on the Bethesda program. And that concludes my report.
Real quick question for you, Bill. When you were over at South talking to the dual language students, did any of them talk about the biliteracy certificate and wanting to do that, or did that not really come up in the conversation?
They did not. No, I don't think maybe they are still getting acquainted with it because these were the freshmen now.
Sure.
And they were in their biology class, and they were intimidated by this board member that was there. But we did talk, and I got from the teacher and from the coach very positive responses about what they're doing over there.
Good.
And they are continuing on their work, and the class was still bilingual. Some English kids speaking, native speaking English kids, and some native speaking Spanish kids, still together after 9 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. That's good.
Thank you, and that concludes the report.
Thank you, Bill. Moving on to our consent agenda, we do have some gifts. Todd, do you?
I don't have that, and Mr. Clark thought he would be here by now, but apparently he's not.
Let me see.
He's not able to make it, so. I have the information here if you'd like me to. Our gifts. Les Paul Middle School received $1,000 from SPX Transformer Solutions for the STEM 4 Girls program run by Jenny Lambert. And Waukesha South received $500 from Waukesha Express Swim Team and $5,000 from Aaron and Christy Jagfeld to go towards a virtual swim trainer for Waukesha South High School Natatorium.
Oh, those are nice. Yes, thank you for those. Much appreciated, as always. Our citizens and corporations are very generous. Your agenda tonight includes various categories for approval. There were no expulsion meetings this last month. And now I'd ask if there's anything that my fellow board members would like to have set aside for a separate discussion. Okay, seeing none. Mrs. Reinacek, will you please present the consent agenda for approval?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier this evening, the Human Resources and Compensation Committee approved of 1 retirement, 2 resignations, and 7 new full, part-time, and modified contracts. The information was provided in your packet. Mr. President, I move that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Brezink. Discussion? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 9-0, Sue. Moving on to, and that does conclude your report, correct?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Reinacek. Moving on to the superintendent's report given by Dr. Gray.
I have 2 primary items tonight. One is I sent information on ACT scores from 2018, and I think we're looking pretty good. We came in number 3 of the top 10 large districts in the state, and again beat the state average. As you know, one of our goals was to exceed state average by at least 1.0, and this is getting us in the right direction. It's 0.4 at this point, but we're at least we are heading. We continue to gain ground against the state average, so that's very positive. I'd also like to note that the Engineering Academy at South had the #2 average score in the state of Wisconsin this year. And it's not only engineering, but engineering shares its education with South teachers. So congratulations to both the engineering and South High School. And then I have a proclamation that has been issued by our governor, so bear with me. Whereas school boards are locally elected to serve their communities with the mission of preparing all students for success in higher education, careers, and responsible citizenship. And whereas school boards are empowered by the state legislature with the responsibility to educate every student in the public school system of Wisconsin. And whereas school boards oversee a public education system that provides a range of educational services to support their students' individual needs. And whereas school boards work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to make educational vision for our students a reality. And whereas school boards play a critical role in improving student achievement in their districts and fostering economic development in their communities. And whereas school boards are important advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district. Now, therefore, I, Scott Walker, Governor of the state of Wisconsin, do hereby proclaim October 7th through the 13th as School Board Week.
Wow.
So congratulations and thanks for all you do. That's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Gray.
Pardon me?
Where are we going?
Where are we going?
Yeah, for School Board Week.
Wherever you'd like to go.
We need a field trip here.
Yeah.
Todd, did they say
Planetarium.
What's that?
Planetarium, good
It's
idea.
October 7th through the 13th, so
Oh,
we're
so the cake
right in
will
the
be
middle
coming.
of it. We're right in the middle of
So we'll get a cake yet?
state school board. Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you, Dr.
We'll have
Gray.
that afterwards.
Yeah,
It'll show up.
Cookies, yeah. Right.
Thank you. Moving on to our committee reports. As you know, we rotate which committees present, and the first committee up this month is the Finance and Facilities Committee, given by Mr. O'Brien.
I thought I got moved to the front because Mr. McCaffrey did such an excellent job last month.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let the truth be known.
We didn't have any action items. We did have some information items. First was the update on the 2018-19 budget and tax levy and the monthly budget update. The committee was updated on the current estimates for the 2018-19 budget and tax levy. The October 15th EPI will certify the district's equalization aid and voucher participation levels, which will enable the business office to calculate the final tax levy and rate. At this time, a drop in the tax rate from last year's $8.21 to a rate below $8 is anticipated. To finalize the budget, a special board meeting will need to be held prior to November 1st. Tonight, a survey is being passed around to Board of Education members to see whether Monday, October 22nd or Monday, October 29th at 6 p.m. would work for a majority of the board members to approve the final budget and tax levy. Revenues and expenditures are within budgeted limits for both the general and special education fund. The district is operating in accordance with our approved preliminary budget and all other funds as well. Information item number 2, referendum planning. Over the last 3 months, the F&F committee has been presented different areas of upgrades of the facility improvement plan included in the referendum. The October report covered the safety and security scope of work to be completed at all district sites, sample ballots, and the financing plan that is being purposed. It is important to note in some of the municipalities' awards within the city of Waukesha served by the school district may have the referendum question on the back of their ballot. I would ask that all voters to review both sides of the ballot when voting. Information on the ballot layout is being updated in the district webpage and included in the mailing that is being sent to all households. Discussion items. We had the 2017-2018 year in summary. The committee was presented the preliminary financial results of the 2017-18 fiscal year. In December, auditors are scheduled to present the final 2017-18 financial statements to the F&F committee. And one last item, we did have a closed session. There was a question just before we went into closed session or as we were going into closed session. And I had a question after the closed session about how we decide what should be in closed session, what shouldn't be in closed session, and that's governed by statute. Both topics under the closed session, one was involved potential land sale, and the other one involved a contract complied with the statute and were discussed in closed session. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Moving on to teaching and learning, given by Mr. McCaffrey.
Thank you, Mr. President. The last Teaching and Learning Committee meeting was held on October 2nd, 2018 at 6 p.m. We have 1 action item, 4 information items, and 2 discussion items that appear on our agenda for the teaching and learning this evening. Our action item is approval of DPI waiver middle school flexibility. School districts across Wisconsin are continually seeking new ways to improve learning and increase opportunities for their students. Innovative practices are used every day, but in some cases, more flexibility is needed to innovate. Dan Kaiser and Bob Blessington reported that the middle schools are asking for the board support to submit an application to DPI that would allow flexibility for students to take their required art and music courses sometime during the course of the middle school years, as well as allow students to take their physical education classes in the same manner. A copy of the Innovation District application was in your packets, along with the Innovation District application background and guidance. On a vote of 5-0, the Teaching and Learning Committee approved the DPI waiver, middle school flexibility. We request board approval, and I so move.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Mr. Baumgart. He had his hand up. Discussion. Mr. Baumgart.
Just briefly, this is really one of our common sense things we've seen. There are so many barriers to the way the schedule was being controlled by the DPI that they are actually willing to give some flexibility to us to do this. And it gives the kids more opportunities to focus in on what they'd like to take at the time they'd like to take it. So the kids will not be losing anything. It's just getting more opportunities, more flexibility in the getting of it. So,
Mr. Bryan.
Yeah, I was at the WASB Resolutions Committee, and we talk about the state mandates and restrictions, and then we talk about the fact that charter schools don't fall under those same restrictions, and usually we complain about the charter schools not falling under the same restrictions, but maybe we should reverse that and say there should be less restrictions placed on public schools so that we can be more flexible in how we serve our student community. Maybe the charter schools' way of doing things is a good idea, and maybe they should decide to let public schools have the same flexibility.
We've been asking for that for years. You're absolutely right. We would love that.
So,
and how have you done on that?
Well, so far we're old for whatever, but yes, we have that. That would be great if we had that.
Yeah, I think this is one of those common sense, common sense, sometimes those words together are overused, but I think this is pretty commonsensical.
One is.
Yeah.
Question, please.
Mrs. Brezink.
Yes, Jody, this will take place next year, not this year. Okay, thank you.
All right. Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Barbara Brusink.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Pat?
Thank you. We had 4 information items presented at the meeting. Joe Cook informed the Teaching and Learning Committee of the referendum process and scope of the work to be completed. Number 2 was a grading update. 3 members of the standards-based grading SAIL team, principals Ryan Pat, Dennis Griffin, and Bob Blessington, provided an update to the Teaching and Learning Committee on the best practices in grading and reporting. This team reviewed the high school, middle school, and elementary school grading scales and School District of Waukesha website resources. This team also shared how principals use the resources to onboard new staff, as well as provide ongoing learning around best practices in grading and reporting. We received some information on a CERTS framework. Patty Hovell presented on the prevalence of identified children with autism spectrum disorder rising rapidly over the past decade, and the progress we've made in our schools to help support this. Over the past 20 years, we have seen a variety of methods recommended to address student needs. But the most comprehensive and effective framework for assessment and services has been CERTS. It stands for Social Communication, Emotional Regulation, and Transactional Support. Our fourth and final information item was a gifted and talented update. Sharon Thede informed the board of a change to identifying gifted and talented students in grades K through 2. In the past, students were recommended and tested to be identified as gifted. This year, students in grades K through 2 will be placed in a talent pool based on observations and tests they already take to be monitored until a recommendation can be made at the end of second grade. Students who are being monitored at the younger grades will still receive differentiated instruction as they do now. This change will account for students who come to school academically ready and will allow for students to maintain their level of service while reducing the number of times they need to be pulled out for testing. We had 2 discussion items presented at the committee meeting. The first one is the new AP Environmental Science course. An AP Environmental Science course was designed this summer to be offered beginning in the 2019-2020 school year. The belief is that this AP course can be an entry point for some students into advanced placement science courses, which can lead to students taking more AP science courses. As we expand AVID across our system, expanding the AP pipeline for students is essential as well. In November, we will ask the board to approve adding AP Environmental Science to the course guide beginning in the 2019-2020 school year. Our second discussion item.
Do you mind if we just take,
Oh,
it
sure.
is a discussion
Yeah, no,
item, so we can have the full board participate in the discussion. Anybody else have any questions on the committee work or what was presented? Mrs. Brezink?
Yes, I do, about grading. Can we go back there?
It's this particular item.
Okay.
Yeah, dealing with,
You moved on so quickly, I didn't get a chance to.
that's an informational
Just an
item.
information item would be the issue.
You can ask a question on an information item, but we can't really just have discussion on it. But a question.
I have a question on grading. Update? Okay, may I, or do you want me to wait?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was wondering if this grading update is a practice among schools throughout the district, throughout the county, throughout the state, throughout the country, or is this something that we use as best practices in grading and reporting? Jody, this is just such an incredibly interesting piece. You know why I was interested, because I used to, as a teacher, do grading, et cetera, and my, how it's changed and how it's changed for the better and what a grade really represents now so differently than it used to. I talked to a high school teacher friend of mine, and we were just both amazed at what goes into a grade that actually ends up in the report card. So I was wondering, where did this come from? Is this something we developed? Is this something a state developed?
This is a best practices document that follows
Okay,
the
I thought so.
research-based model. This framework was put into place
Okay, thank you. Very thorough.
Good question.
Thank you.
Going back to the new AP Environmental Science, Mr. Bumgarner?
Yeah, I guess I would just like to apply. Did it go off? There we go. I didn't want to have you hear all this, Kurt. Anyway, they're doing a good job. This is an area that is badly needed in our world to have environmental science attended to and people understand what's going on. So I just think it's a great opportunity. We aren't voting on it yet, but the more I see of it, the more I like it.
Okay. Mrs. Brezink?
Is this AP Environmental Science course a requirement or an elective?
I think it would be an elective.
That's what I thought, it was being elective. It would be wonderful if it was a requirement.
It's an
because-
AP course, and it would not be required.
I know, but the information that's contained in the course is so valuable. I would hope that everybody could have a chance to participate. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. McCaffrey?
Okay, my second discussion item is the forward exam data. The public release of the 2018 forward exam results occurred on Tuesday, October 1st. And Reba was present to discuss the school district of Waukesha district-wide results. 3rd through 8th grade students were tested in English, language arts, and math. Students in grades 4, 8, and 10 were tested in social studies, and students in grades 4 and 8 were tested in science. Another discussion item, so
Yep.
if anybody.
Any other questions, comments? How many years is this now that we're doing forward exam?
3, I think this is our 3rd
Okay.
year we have actual results for.
Getting a little bit of momentum with
Yeah,
multiple
that's
years.
first time in 3 years they haven't changed. I mean, there a while they were changing it every other year. So
Yeah.
now we're able to at least track the same trend. So
Yeah. Any other discussion? Yes, Ms. Roddy.
I have a question, and it's where, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Okay, so the students are tested at random grade levels. I presume that's dictated by the state or DPI. Do you have an idea of their reasoning for those particular grade levels? No, it's just, no.
I don't know if it's random. It's the same every year, isn't
Well,
it?
it is, but only, like, social studies is done by 4th and 8th, or, you know, 4th, 8th, and 10th, and why those years? I don't know if that's when the curriculum is assigned for that particular grade level. It's just a random question, sorry.
No, someone at the state level probably thought that was important.
Somewhere in there, okay. I'll take that.
Somewhere in Madison.
Thank you, it's just
Thank you.
curiosity.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on the forward exam data?
All right, thank you, Mr. President. That concludes the Teaching and Learning Committee report. Our next meeting will be held on Tuesday, November 6, 2018, 6 p.m. in this room. All are welcome.
Thank you, Mr. McCaffrey.
Thank you.
Moving on to safety and security, given by Ms. Roddy.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Safety and Security Committee last met on October 10th. There were 3 information items on the agenda. The first item was an update to the school safety grant application. The School District of Waukesha was awarded $726,610 in round 2 of the 2018 School Safety Grant Initiative. The district has been granted over $1.3 million through rounds 1 and 2 of the safety grant and the state mental health grant. The funds will be used on projects designed to improve school safety and address the mental health of our students. Safety grant fund will cover different items than the referendum funds. Item number 2 was an update on the safety and security referendum items. The referendum information building safety improvement plan document breaks down the safety projects by the various funding sources. This document was in your packet and also available on the district website. The safety projects which would be funded by the referendum include create secure main entrance and adjacent administrative offices, requires building structural changes and visitor access at all the district schools except for Waukesha North, which already has a secure main entrance. Adding lockable interior doors to partitions off school, to section off school buildings at all the schools. Install additional security cameras at all the schools. Improve drop-off pickup traffic patterns at Butler Middle School and South High School. And replace clocks and intercom systems at Butler, Horning, and Les Paul Middle Schools, and replacing doors and door hardware at Butler and Horning Middle Schools. The third information item was the Police Department School Visit Report. The Waukesha Police Department provided a report listing the numbers of police visits to all school district of Waukesha school buildings for the 2017-2018 school year. That concluded all of our information items. The next.
Mr. Baumgart?
Oh, sorry, I didn't look up.
I think it's important to determine some words here. If you look at the chart, it sounds like the police were called to the buildings on these numbers, and I get a little bit concerned on some of those 49 calls from Bethesda. I think those are visits that are, could be
Mr.
just a stop by.
Mr. Cook?
At the Safety and Security Committee, we discussed the reasons for it. There was not a good way for the police department to segregate
Okay.
why they came.
So those calls that you see at the schools could be anything from a police officer, one of the community liaisons showing up to have lunch or play kickball, or stop in and talk to the principal about the overall safety of the school, all the way to responding to an actual
Okay. I think it's important we make that clear, that it's not that we had to call them in. It's a voluntary thing.
It was every stop that they
Any reason. Thank you. That's
Right.
You answered my question.
Good question. Thank you. The next Safety and Security Committee meeting is scheduled for November 15th here in this room at 6 p.m. And with that, completes the Safety and Security meeting.
Almost.
Almost.
Mr. O'Brien.
I need to look up. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I was waiting until you were done. I didn't want to interrupt or anything. I just want to point out, and it was also mentioned during the facility and finance report, we talk about North High School having a secure entrance, and being unique in the fact that it has this secure entrance. That secure entrance was paid for in the last successful referendum almost 15 years ago. And it was actually added after the referendum passed. The North High School administration came to us and requested this entrance the secure entrance being developed. So it's just important to note that we were forward-looking back then, and we're not having to pay for it today, unlike the rest of our schools. And I believe the cost of that was significant. It wasn't a small amount of money at the time. It was probably, I think it was over $100,000 for sure to add that entrance at the time. So security in our schools are important, and it's been important for a long time.
There, we made it through. That's the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roddy. Moving on to Human Resource and Compensation Committee, given by Ms. Reinacek.
Thank you, Mr. President. The approval of the revised 2019-2020 school calendar. Version 3 of the calendar was presented to principals on August 22nd for their feedback, then to the HR Compensation Committee on September 12th, then to the Superintendent's Advisory Committee at the end of September. Version 3 of this calendar was presented for review and discussion at the September board meeting. Following our blog feedback and meetings with the teacher and parent representatives, we made some changes to the proposed 2019-2020 school calendar. This is version number 5, which is being presented this evening. Please see the attached explanation based on the feedback we received over the past month. The big issues were the end of the school year and the timing for spring break. Based on Waukesha area school districts, 75% of the districts are planning to run spring break the last full week of March in 2020, and we will too. There was some discussion about the length of a 2-week holiday break and running school through the end of the second week of June. Parents were more concerned about this than teachers. Based primarily on parent preference, we shortened the holiday break by 2 days to allow for an earlier release in June. Mr. President, I move to approve the revised 2019-2020 school calendar, version 5, as presented.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Mr. McCaffrey. Discussion? A lot of hard work goes into a calendar. You wouldn't think it would year after year. You'd think it'd always be the same, but it isn't. Things change over time, and we got a lot of input this year. Thank you, Chris, for all your hard work on that. Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Karen?
The approval of the recommended candidate for the position of principal of North High School. The principal of South High School submitted his resignation to the Human Resources Department on October 4th, 2018. Due to the timing of this event, the administration met with the superintendent and determined Rebecca Newcomber, principal at North High School, will be reassigned to South High School effective October 15th, 2018. With the resulting vacancy at North, we are pleased to recommend Mrs. Kristen Higgins for the principal position at North High School. Mrs. Kristen Higgins has been the assistant principal at Waukesha North High School since 2015. One of Kristen's strengths is her analytical thinking. Kristen understands how to gather data, how to interpret it, and how to take action with it. She has a talent to look at numbers, strategically plan, and effectively communicate plans and outcomes. Kristen is personable, understanding, and kind in her interactions with others. She recognizes the human aspect of her role as a school administrator. Kristen also has high expectations and the ability to have difficult conversations when anyone around her needs to be stretched. Because of her attentiveness to balancing affirmations and coaching when working with others, the relationships she builds with faculty, students, and families are based on respect and trust. If a challenging situation arises, she is thoughtful, fair, and a superb listener. These skills serve her on a daily basis when working with North families, students, and staff. Mrs. Kristen Higgins is a leader who, although always wants to learn more, is ready for a principal position. She has a clear vision and is able to see both the big picture as well as the minute details that are needed to put a plan in place in a comprehensive high school setting. She is one of the hardest workers, and her drive to leave things in a better place than how she found them is both inspiring and propels motivation for those around her. Kristen Higgins received her administrative degree in educational leadership from Concordia University in 2014, her master's degree in curriculum and instruction in 2004 from UW-Milwaukee, and her bachelor degree in elementary education in 2000 from UW-Milwaukee. A confidential recommendation and resume was placed on your desks this evening. Mr. President, I move to approve the recommended candidate for the position of principal of North High School.
Is there a second to that? Second by
I'll
Ms.
second it.
Lloyd. Discussion? I think she's going to step into some big shoes, but she's going to do a good job. Or she has some big shoes to fill, I should say, and she will do a good job in doing that. I support this selection.
Careful wording, Joe.
Yeah. Have to be careful on a lot of things these days, so. Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0.
Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Reincheck. Moving on to our policy committee, given by Mr. Baumgart.
Thank you. If you were shocked when you looked at the list for coverage tonight, that's because there's a page missing in between there. We'll work it in there.
Nice.
No, that's all we have, but don't get used to it, guys. The first one is an action item, revision to policy 9211, district support organizations. This policy was revised to provide direction regarding the open meetings law requirements and district support organizations. If you'll remember, in the past month, we had a whole series of them were related to open meetings rules and stuff like that. But in the process of doing that, we had after we reviewed it at the policy committee meeting in August, suggestions had been made to add language about the group, for instance, a PTA, about the groups remaining in good standing. This has been added as one sentence to the fourth paragraph. I move now for approval of this policy as presented.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Brezink. Discussion? All right, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 9-0. Sue?
Thank you.
Bill?
We have one discussion item. This is actually a first reading on a policy 2412, homebound instruction. The homebound instruction program policy has been rewritten to reflect the general definition of the program and the rest of the process and the procedures. All of the details of it have been moved to a proposed guideline. So the policy now reads very simply, and I left myself short on that one, didn't I? In front of me, someplace here. Yeah, thank you. The policy itself, in your handout, the policy is one paragraph that specifies when a student may apply for homebound education, for instance, if they are ill or injured or something like that. All of the details that were in the old policy are just simply becoming moved over into the administrative guidelines. There's one part that we want to emphasize, though, in that process of moving it into the administrative guidelines, and that is encouraging now more of the use of the e-Achieve program in situations where a student is going to be out of our school buildings for an extended period of time and able to take the class, whatever that class might be, if they are able to take that class through the e-Achieve program as opposed to having a tutor or something like that involved. And you'll find that on the bottom of the administrative guidelines. So really, it's a restructuring of where some of the stuff is, but on the other hand, an encouragement of using the e-Achieve program more than we have been. And that is a first reading. It's a discussion item, and we'll be bringing it back in November.
Any food for thought for the policy committee?
But, yes.
Yes, Mrs. Brezink?
But this could cover the total curriculum if somebody is home, 6 months, et cetera. It wouldn't just be one class, right? It could be the whole curriculum.
Well, and it says someplace in there, some of the classes that might be necessary for that student to take, if there's a lab involved in it, may or may not be able to take it through the Achieve program.
Right.
So it really depends on the situation as to whether we can cover it. Well, again, if it's a short-term situation, it's going to be handled differently than if it's a long-term situation.
Right. But there are long-term situations.
Yes, there will be.
Where we have to
There
provide
are.
more support.
And there we may not be able to handle all classes this way.
Understand.
Other questions or discussion? Hey, Bill?
Okay, that concludes the policy committee report for tonight. And all those missing policies will be brought back future date.
Thank you, Mr. Bungert. Moving on to technology, given by Mr. Dietz.
Thank you, Mr. President.
This is yours.
The Technology Committee met on September 26th. There were no action or information items on the agenda. However, there were 3 discussion items. First discussion item, instruction-related technology. A District Technology Advisory Committee, known as the Waukesha 1 SAIL Team, had its first meeting of the year on September 25th. The Waukesha 1 SAIL Team is made up of administrators, coordinators, principals, and assistant principals. The team established 3 working pillars. Number 1, a commitment to transforming teaching and learning through the use of technology. Number 2, communication. And number 3, professional learning. Under these 3 pillars, the team will work to infuse technology where it makes sense. Information presented from the annual technology survey depicted how major gains have happened in the areas of productivity, assessment, and communication collaboration, while categories of curriculum and instruction and general practice remain as areas with room for improvement. The summer iPad refresh was a tremendous success with over 2,000 student iPads being upgraded. A special thanks goes out to Josie Zindler and also Lauren Goddard for managing the entire refresh process from start to finish. Josie and Lauren are former West High School students and IT co-op workers, and they are now attending UW-Madison.
Jonathan, did you work on that one too? Yeah, our cameraman, he also worked on that. Good job, Jonathan.
Any questions? Okay. Keep going. Okay. Second discussion item, infrastructure-related technology. An upgrade of the legacy server infrastructure is complete, moving all production servers to the new HP SimpliVity platform. The new server cluster is based entirely on the solid-state drive SSD technology. This SSD-based platform results in dramatic performance gains in disk storage, backup, and recovery. With the server upgrade that was completed, the next focus area will be individual building network closets. Improvements in cooling and backup power are needed in several locations throughout the district. This will be a joint project with buildings and grounds. Third discussion item, life safety related technology. The Safe Arrival Attendance Reporting System rollout continues throughout the district. Safe Arrival will be in place in all of our schools by the end of October. Safe Arrival allows parents to report a child's absence by phone, email, text, and then it confirms the absence with the parent back in a similar fashion. Schools will now have the capability to rapidly follow up on school absences, helping to ensure that all of our students are accounted for. Safe arrival also dramatically lessens the staff time that it takes from the past to perform these duties and responsibility. School Messenger continues to enhance the Safe Arrival product, recently adding multi-language support service for those students needing it. Parent feedback on Safe Arrival has been very positive. Funds from the first Wisconsin Department of Justice School Safety Grants, totaling $518,605, are already at work as installation and training on the Raptor Visitor Management System will be complete by mid-October. This system instantly screens a visitor against the National Sex Offender Database through the use of a driver's license. It likewise alerts office staff to custody situations. Preparation and design planning on door monitoring and communication systems is also underway through the funding from the second safety grant, of which the School District of Waukesha received $726,610. That concludes the technology report.
I have to apologize, Mr. Dietz. I thought these were info items. All three of these were discussion items, so I will just bounce it back to my fellow board members to see if on any of the items you wanted to have question or discussion on. I thought they were info items, sorry. Okay, seeing none.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Dietz. Appreciate it. And that concludes our committee reports for this evening. Moving on to other business, are there any recommendations for topics for future board meetings? Yes, Mr. O'Brien.
Monday was Columbus Day, which, as I recall, that's what Monday was. And I believe that it's time that Waukesha considers what type of activities we should undertake on Columbus Day. In regards to recognizing the impact on Native Americans and Native American history. I don't think we cover that history in our school districts very well, and that would be a day where maybe we could cover the history of Native Americans, at least in our state. It's something I'd like us to consider. We have 2,340 days in a student's life, and if we did this one day a year for 13 years, it'd be 13 days out of 2,340 days. And, not too many people know the history of Native Americans and what this country, it hasn't been a great record in some ways, and especially for the Oneida and the Potawatomi and various tribes in the state, they've had their own issues. And I think it'd be a good idea for us as a district to be proactive in this area. And we could lead the state in recognizing understanding the history of Native Americans within the state.
Mr. Baumgart?
I had never thought about that, Kurt, but I've heard about it elsewhere. I think South Dakota does something like that. And I hear what you're saying, and I think it's worth the search. I mean, there might be more interest there than there is in the myth of Christopher Columbus. So that's dangerous to say, I suppose. But
So, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I pulled up this from Senator John Thune. It's been 28 years since South Dakota started recognizing the second Monday in October as Native Americans Day. In 1990, Governor George Mickelson led the state in a year of reconciliation of South Dakota's tribal communities, a fabric of our state's rich culture and history. To non-South Dakotans, it might seem like a small or trivial change, but by leaving Columbus Day in the past, the state turned an important page and looked entirely toward the future. We don't want the state to tell us what to do here in Waukesha, but we could take the initiative ourselves. I'm not saying we'd say anything bad about Christopher Columbus, but maybe we should focus on, think about what South Dakota did 28 years ago, and maybe we could catch up.
This I think would be probably appropriate for Mr. McCaffrey's committee to take a peek at. So you can work with Jody on
we'll take a look
that. Okay. Any other suggestions for potential agendized items for committee or full board meetings? Okay. Appreciate that input. We do not have a need for closed session for item B, nor do we have a need for item C, but we do have a need for item D for closed session. Do I have such a motion? Mr. Baumgart?
I will move that we adjourn to executive session pursuant to 19.85, parentheses 1, parentheses C, parentheses F and G to discuss with the district's, not the district attorney, the district's attorney, and take possible action regarding a request to file an amicus brief in a pending action in Waukesha Circuit Court involving a district employee, and I so move.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Brezink. That does require a roll call vote. Sue, would you take that?
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Diane Voigt.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Well, that concludes the open session portion of our meeting, and we'll just roll right into the closed session. Is that, or does anybody need a break?
Long?